Hello, hello, hello. It's Attorney Mike Gravel. I'm coming to you from Chicago as usual. And we just had the arraignment of Nick Rekieta. I only knew about it because virus. It's her fault. You can blame her as usual. And there's some optimistic parts of it, but overall, it's worse than I thought. It's worse than I thought in the sense that based on the decisions he's made, I don't think he I don't think he's accepted reality yet. That's where I'm at. On the upside, I'm going to do this. Isn't this long? I think I have a 12-minute clip. By the way, I should thank who is it? Let me see if I can find it here. MLS God of Law. I got it from their stream, and he had Andrew Bronk on, and they were doing a nice job. So that's fine. But that's where I saw the arraignment. It was on Zoom. I actually checked in there for a second, but I thought, no, I don't want to deal with it. Nonetheless, we have the arraignment of Nick Rekieta, and I see in the chat some people don't know who he is. He's a YouTuber, and he has a very successful channel. He was probably best known for the Rittenhouse case and also the Depp case, where a lot of us were streaming during that. And he's got a big channel, and he's a sharp attorney, or was. And he's gone off the rails. And recently there's some very ugly streams, and it looks like he's really gotten into substance issues. You'll see in the arraignment here, he's charged with possession. And that's it. I'm going to try to stay out of the way of it, but the positive, optimistic thing is he looks good. He looks a hell of a lot better than he did in his last stream, which was like a day or two ago. I don't have the timelines exact, but he looks good considering the fact that he spent the night in jail and is probably still hungover. He looks a lot better, and he seems to be in his right mind on one level. On another level, he's completely lost it. And I will tell you why I think it's bad. I will tell you why. He is representing himself and apparently his wife and his girlfriend. No, I didn't stutter. That's the idea that he thinks is good. That's a horrible idea. Representing himself is a horrible idea. Representing his wife and girlfriend simultaneously in an incident where he's involved is a terrible idea. And I don't think it'll even happen. But what he thinks is he can still handle this. Nick, you'll probably never see this. You got a lot of material to cover, to catch up on regarding yourself. I'm sure you'll never see this stream, but if you do, brother, you can't handle this. That much is clear. You got a conflict with your co-defendants. You have a conflict. You can't take a position that's adverse to your client. We've got a possession case here. A prime defense would be, it wasn't mine. My guess, and I don't know, is that the drugs allegedly were his. If I represent one of the other two, I would probably say they weren't my client's drugs. But you are going to try to represent them. I appreciate that one's your wife and the other one's allegedly your girlfriend or something. I appreciate that. I appreciate that they might go along with it, but I think they've got an unwaivable conflict. I'm not an expert in the area. Go listen to criminal defense attorneys who know more about it. But just the general notion as an attorney, as an officer of the court, you don't want to be taking positions adverse to your client. And I don't see how he represents them without doing that. Causing a lot more problems, both for himself in the criminal context and also for his license. That's a terrible, terrible idea. The optimistic thing is, like I said, he looks better, number one. Number two, this might just be the horrible idea of a guy who's hungover and spent last night in jail. This can be changed, and I think it will be. But until he changes that stance, I think he's not come around to the reality that he's currently in. All right, let's go to it. And you'll see what I mean.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to go on the record. Before we do, a couple rules this morning, giving the amount of observers. First, you are to turn off your device so you are muted and turn off your video camera. Second of all, there have been requests to record this proceeding. Those requests are denied. The rules, general rules of practice prohibit any recording other than the official record of the judicial branch, which is recorded by a certified court reporter. I imagine that transcripts can be available. That's under General Rule of Practice 42 or 4.02, Subdivision 5 at Prin 5. I need to tell everyone that a violation of that rule would could lead to contempt proceedings. We are on the record in 34 CR 24.
For the record, I have an email.
And Madam Clerk, if you can disable that the buzzing or bell noise each time someone joins us, court would appreciate that. This is the state of Minnesota versus Nicholas Robert Rekieta. Am I saying that correctly? You've told me before.
Yes, sir, Rekieta.
I have your date of birth is December 16, 1981.
Yes, sir.
Currently reside at 12291. Okay. Your appearance today is based on 3 counts to a complaint order for detention. The record should reflect that Alex Kornahachi appears for the state of Minnesota. Mr. Rekieta, you are self-representing yourself at this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Count 1 is second-degree possession, 25 grams or more of cocaine or methamphetamine. This is in violation of Minnesota Statute 152.022, Subdivision 2, Prin A, Prin 1. The maximum sentence for that count is 25 years in prison and or a $500,000 fine. Count 2 is possession of ammunition or any firearm with the user of controlled substances. This is a gross misdemeanor, so the maximum sentence is 364 days in the Kansas County Jail and or a $3,000 fine. Count 3, endangerment of a child when present with a sale or possession of a controlled substance. Again, a gross misdemeanor. Maximum.
Get all your coke out, Nick, and kill yourself, you stupid motherfucker.
I'm going to warn everyone again, this is a court proceeding. If you were in a courtroom with me, I would remove you. So any
Judge,
violation of that will be removed. Ms. Block?
Judge, I just disabled people the ability to unmute themselves, so I will work to unmute people as they need to speak to the court this morning.
All right, thank you. Aside from Mr. Rekieta and Mr. Kornahachi, no one needs to at this point. Lastly, I think I was saying that the count 3 gross misdemeanor has a maximum sentence of 364 days and or a $3,000 fine. Mr. Rekieta, you understand what you've been charged with? And second question, the maximum sentences associated with each count?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, I don't mean to insult your intelligence given you are an attorney, but it's important that I know that you understand your rights here. First of all, you are presumed to be not guilty of these charges. It is the state, not you, that has to prove what has been alleged in the complaint with evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. You have a right to trial by jury. All members of the jury would have to agree that the state had met its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt before you could be convicted. You have a right to counsel. You have a right to represent yourself, of course. If there's a trial, You could give your side of the story and testify, but you also have the right to remain silent. Indeed, you don't have to prove anything, so you don't have to say anything. If you remain silent, the judge can't make a comment about that. The prosecutor can't make a comment about that, nor can the jury take that into consideration. You have a right to confront, challenge, or cross-examine anyone who testifies against your interest. You have a right to call witnesses and the power of subpoena. You have a right to all of the state's discovery before trial, and including exculpatory information and evidence. And at the end of the day, if you think the court made some mistakes or a jury made some mistakes, you have a right to appeal. Any questions about those rights as I've explained them?
No, Your Honor.
This is a Rule 5 hearing. Sometimes we call it a bail hearing. We'll set this for a Rule 8 hearing. Under the rules, you have the right to have that hearing within 14 days of today's hearing, but you could waive that as well, given your right to seek counsel if you so choose. Do you want this scheduled within 14 days, a Rule 8?
No, Your Honor, I'd like to waive that. We can combine it into a contested omnibus hearing. That would work.
All right, so we could, for today's purposes, combine Rule 5, Rule 8?
Yes, sir.
All right. And before you ask for a speedy, you want to hear what the state is requesting as far as these conditions?
Yes, I'd like to hear what the state is requesting.
I didn't say it, but you also have the right to have me read the complaint today.
No, I'll waive that right, sir.
All right, very well. Mr. Kornhachi, what is the state requesting as far as release conditions?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is requesting $50,000 unconditional. In the alternative, we would agree to RPR with standard drug conditions, which would include no use, random testing, no use and possession of firearms, contact probation as directed, don't leave the state without permission from the court, remain law-abiding, keep in contact with probation, and other standard conditions.
Mr. Rekieta, any objection to those conditions?
I object to the $50,000 bail. I think it's unduly burdensome and in violation of the 8th Amendment.
All right, what about the conditions?
Release conditions sound fine.
All right, the court will set unconditional the amount of $50,000, cash or bond. Conditionally, you'll be released on your own personal recognizance. In all instances, you need to be law-abiding and show up for all your court appearances. Conditions are as follows.
Okay, there is some confusion in the other chat. I read that as this is a personal recognizance bond. In other words, he doesn't need to post anything except he has to be subject to the conditions. And he did because he didn't object to the conditions. I think that's what he's doing here. So I don't think he has to post anything. That's the way I read it. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Abstain from the use of alcohol or any mood-altering chemicals not prescribed by your physician. That will be subject to random testing. So the court will order that you meet with probation upon your release, sign their agreement, and cooperate fully. You are not to possess any weapons, firearms of any nature, or be in the presence of anyone with a firearm or dangerous weapon. And do not leave the state of Minnesota without prior approval of the court. Any questions about those release conditions?
Yes, Your Honor. Did you say 50 or 15,000?
50,000. 50.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, let me ask this. Do you still want a speedy omnibus, or can it be scheduled in normal course?
Can we schedule a normal course, Your Honor?
Very well. Madam Clerk, do we have a date for that?
I'm sorry, Judge, I'm just going to interrupt. This is Katie Block, the court administrator. Do you want this next hearing to be in person or remote?
In person.
Thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Rekieta, you said contested, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yes, in person.
And I'm sorry, Your Honor, just to clarify, timelines are waived?
Yes.
And Madam Clerk, just so the court is aware, Kristen Pierce is handling this case going forward.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So while we're waiting for the date, $50,000 bond, cash or surety, which means he can
And the
pay.
matter has been assigned with Judge Fisher. I'm looking at Tuesday, August 20th at 2:45.
Good for the state.
Judge
Without
Fisher-
having a calendar, it sounds great.
Very well. Any other business we can conduct?
Now,
Yes,
you have this. Oh,
Oh.
apologies. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I have requested to see two of my clients and have been forbidden from doing so. I'd like to see them before their arraignment.
He's going to represent his
I'm not
wife.
understanding your request. Can you repeat it?
As two of my clients are set for arraignment today, I have requested to see them. They have both requested to speak to their attorney, who is me, and they have been prevented from doing so up to this point. I was wondering if we could get an order to allow me to at least speak to my clients before they come into their first appearance.
It was at this point I realized he doesn't get it. You have no business representing anybody else in a matter in which you were arrested. You shouldn't be representing yourself, let alone anyone else. Stop. Get help. Now.
Scornahachi?
Your Honor, I'm not sure if the court is aware. April Multi has been released.
Okay.
And then I believe the other person who's referring to is his wife, Kayla. Is it Rekieta? Rekieta. I'll leave it to the court's discretion. They are charged as co-defendants. I believe she would have to waive any conflict, etc. But I don't take a position.
And to be frank, I don't know if that's a waivable conflict at this point, given they are co-defendants. But there's no request from the state that obviously they are married, so there's no request that they be separated. True?
Correct.
Well, it's an issue of denying counsel to Ms. Rekieta, so I will grant the request and leave that as an issue for Judge Fisher. At least to get us through the arraignment this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Jailer, are you able to make accommodations? Mr. Rekieta, how much time do you need?
Not long, just about 15 minutes, Your Honor.
Can the jail accommodate that?
That'd be up to the jail administrator, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
I would have to talk with the jail administrator.
All right. If they have any difficulties with that, the jail administrator, since I'll be in these proceedings, should contact Chief Judge Beckman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. Since Ms. Rekieta is not available, at least for the next 15 minutes, do we want to take the next matter?
Fine with the state, Your Honor.
Do we want the interpreter case next?
Which case?
The interpreter case?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
See, I'm going to use Miss Fowler's words. She now is in a throuple. And not only does she choose to be in a throuple, and she's shacked up in the bed with the throuple. Now, if anybody thinks this is okay, I am in the wrong world.
Well, there you have it. He's lost his mind and he hasn't regained it yet. If he thinks he can represent... Okay, so here's the story. I don't know what's true. Here are the allegations, what's floating around. Apparently, he's charged with possession. So for whatever reason, the police go over to his place and they find some stuff, or are alleged that they find some stuff. Based upon the recent streams I've seen, that does not surprise me in the least. The rest of the story, because a lot of people don't know, is that apparently these are allegations and rumors and whatnot, but the three people involved were his wife, himself, and his neighbor's wife. All three arrested. So that's where we are. Okay, fine. So he goes off the rails. That much is clear if you see his recent streams. It's absolutely apparent to a casual observer. Fine. He gets arrested. Fine. He spends the night in jail. Fine. But he shows up at his court appearance saying, I'm going to represent myself. A horrible idea. A horrible idea. Not that he's not a smart guy. Not that he's not a good attorney. But you can't represent yourself well. You're too close to it. He has other litigation going. He's hired attorneys for that. I don't know why he thinks he's just the right guy for this particular job. But even worse than that, he's referring to his wife and his alleged girlfriend as his clients, which is wrong on about 50 different levels. Hopefully someone knocks some sense into him, and that, that's fine for today, and get released or whatever, and go take another nap, get your head straight, keep drying out. And I hopefully he sees that that's it. I will not be convinced that he's even beginning to turn the corner until he changes that position. Not that it matters. I'm just saying that in my mind, you're completely delusional. You think you have this under control, and you're going to handle it all yourself. You're clearly not handling things right yourself currently. That may be true. This is what I've heard, which may be rumors. I don't know. I think the nanny's a cover story for a throuple. That's what I've been told. It may or may not be correct. I'm not close enough to know. And I'm told that it is absolutely a neighbor's wife. Probably soon to be ex is my guess. So I'm not saying it's true. I'm telling you what I've heard. So there you have it. I didn't realize that they're going to arraign her, which makes sense too. So I'm sure that's all over the place. Her arraignment, apparently she wasn't available right there, so they were going to arraign her in 15 minutes or so. Probably they'll have it on. They'll have it on the place. Where is it? I would check out the MLS God of Law stream. Yeah, Brank on there. They know what they're doing. They were still going, so they were probably waiting around for that other arraignment. It sounds like the third one, that's him and his wife. It sounds like the third one, based upon what was said in this hearing, has already been released. So presumably she was already arraigned or made some arrangement or did something. I don't know. That's another thing. I mean, she may have gotten an attorney and gotten out, and Nick doesn't know it yet. And everything. Who knows? Who knows? But again, the upside is he looks good. He looks good for a guy who was on a bender and spent the night in jail. He looks a hell of a lot better than he did in his last stream. So that's a plus sign. I think he can get out of this with probably some probation and some treatment and testing, which is fine. That's my guess as to how these particular charges. He's no prior criminal history that I'm guessing. I'm making this up, but I don't think he's not gonna have a lot of prior criminal history and still have a law license. I'll tell you that. So, I don't think he's got a lot of prior criminal history. He has this possession case, first time possession, not a life career criminal. They're not going to throw you in the clink for 5 years on that. Though they theoretically could, they're not going to. For him or anybody else, that's not special treatment. That's just normal routine. But this showing up to court saying I'm representing myself and I have 2 clients. Oh, brother. That is not a good play. Stop that now. And good luck to you in your recovery. Thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all soon.